Hey, my name is Albert Orange, and welcome to another episode of Pod by Orange. Episode 80. I just realized a couple minutes ago that I would be recording episode 80. And so here I am, episode 80, man. That's really crazy. That's really cool. I hope that your week has gone well since the last time I've recorded an episode. I'm sure it's gone better than my week because I have let my emotions, specifically my temper, get the better of me over the last couple of days. Really over the last week. I mean, ever since I, prior to recording episode 79 of this show, when I threw a lantern at a wall and broke my thumbnail while I was hitting a chair with an electrical cord, that just carried over into the next couple of days. And actually yesterday I ended up throwing another object at a wall, and my parents found out. It was a remote. It was a TV remote, shattered into pieces. And my parents found out, and they got very frustrated. That's a bit of an understatement, to be sure. And yeah, that was not a good decision that I made, because now I gotta go out and buy a new remote for the TV that I got here in this garage. So, and I've already bought one, but I don't know, it's not compatible with the TV that I got. So I'm gonna have to return it and look for another one. So, if that sounded like just really crazy to you, believe me, it is, and you should be glad that you're not living what I am currently going through right now, where I'm just, getting my, letting my temper just, control my actions, Don't do that. Do not, by any means, let your anger, your rage just take over, because that is not a good thing. I think it might have made the last episode of the podcast probably one of my favorite episodes that I've recorded, but it's still like, I could have maybe, suppressed my anger a little bit more, and that's what I'll try to do. By the time that you are listening to this episode 80 of Pod by Orange, it will be February. It will be February 1st. Right now it's January 31st. It's Wednesday. And it's 10:08 at night. And yeah, by the time that you're listening to this, it will be February. So hopefully I can, calm down using this, whatever energy that February brings, Is it February or is it February? I feel like a lot of people say February, but it's not February. It's February, right? Because if you just look at a calendar, let me look at a calendar here, on my Mac. It's February, right? So it's not February. In that case, you could just forget the R, right? It would just be February, but it's got that R in the middle, so you gotta pronounce it February, right? February. So there you go. happy February. I hope it, like I said, I hope it calms me down. So yeah, I hope that your week has gone well. And, yeah, you know what? Let's just get down to business here. Today, this morning, Johnny Schneider, has hired the Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald, Mikey Mac, as the new head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And that is how we will start off this edition of the Seattle Sitch. Mike Macdonald is coming from Baltimore to the Emerald City. Over here in Washington State, the best state in the world, the best corner of the world, really, in my opinion. Man, I like this. I really like this. I think originally, I thought that Dan Quinn, or as I like to call him, Danny Q, would be the perfect candidate for Seattle. But then, the hype just kind of faded with me. Of course, I would have liked him, but I don't think I would have been as high on him had he been hired. I think Macdonald just, to me right now, the way I see it right now, Macdonald just seems like the better choice. Defensive minded. He's gonna get a 6-year contract, which means he'll have plenty of time. I think we're gonna finally be able to tackle. Finally, hopefully, right? If not, then I don't know, maybe a couple more stops on third down. Maybe I don't know, maybe fix up the run defense. Maybe stop Los Angeles from just completely slicing up the defense all over the field like they did this last year. Just anything, any improvement, I think, with the defense, it would be a great thing to have. And I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do here in Seattle. I really suggest keeping Geno Smith, as we all know, our quarterback. He's got a $12.7 million base salary for next season, which will become fully guaranteed on February 16th, if he's still on the roster then. So Mikey Mac is going to have to make a decision in what? He's got 16 days to make this decision, right? He's got to decide if he's going to keep Geno or cut him. And my suggestion is to keep Geno, because Geno is Geno, all right? He's done nothing wrong, okay, this season, okay? Yes, was the offense inefficient at times? Of course, but my goodness, he's the only thing we've got, okay? And by the way, our offense is stacked. We got Lockett, we got JSN, we got DK Metcalf, okay? We got the boys on tight end, Disley, Parkinson, Fant, okay? We got K-Dubs in the backfield, okay? I think we got all the weapons and we got a decent quarterback. Not the best. Of course he's not the best. But man, that's Geno Smith. I mean, he's all we got, and I think he's all we need for now. We'll see how it goes. Yes, he is, 30-something years old or something? I'm not sure, but, he's getting along with age, but the dude can still throw it, man. He can still sling that thing. And, if anything happens, hey, we got the boy Drew Lock, okay? So, I think things will be alright with the offense if we just pick a good OC to, a decent enough OC. It doesn't even have to be better than Waldron, okay? It can, for all I care, Waldron can stay there, but I don't think he will. He's already gone to Chicago. So we just gotta pick a good OC, and McDonald and the new DC, whoever that will be, they'll fix up the defense. I hope. Oh man, I am eager to see what kind of decisions will be made concerning the defense, because I just think that we need a change with whatever is going on there in that locker room, okay? You had Cigargate, you had, Devin Bush, I don't know, saying some extracurriculars in that Arizona game. You had, what did you have? You had Tariq Woolen. Was it Tariq Woolen who was, doing that thing after the kicker missed that field goal? Yeah, that's just, it doesn't seem like a good defense, okay? Not only because they couldn't freaking tackle, but also because, they just don't seem like winners to me. They just don't. I get it, they're young, but they don't seem like winners. And Bobby Wagner seems like the only dude on that defense who's like, a dog. And he's got that dog mentality. My goodness, he's been there. He's been there in those Legion of Boom days. He knows what it's like to have a championship mindset. I think he's the only dude in there who actually does have that championship mindset. The others are just like, they're like puppies. They're really just puppies who need to be, housebroken, And I'm borrowing that analogy from Stephen King's If It Bleeds. I don't know if anyone's ever read that book. It's a book that I'm reading right now. If It Bleeds. Mr. Harrigan's Phone is a short story that I'm reading by Stephen King. Oh my goodness, what a page turner. And, I'm not exactly sure what housebroken means. I'm assuming, though, it means that house trained, right? So then that's what I mean, Our defense just seems like a bunch of puppies that just, they weren't trained, to be good dogs. And, okay, now that seems bad because I just compared our, human beings to dogs. But you know what? Like, we still need that discipline, and they don't have it. And so the Seahawks defense this year, in comparison to, McDonald's Ravens defense, right? It's just, we paled in comparison to that defense. It was just not good. So we really need to switch things up with that defense. If it means releasing players, aka cutting them, so be it. If it means just changing the culture, which I would prefer, okay, then so be it. But we gotta be tough on these kids, like, or else we'll just let, those other 11 players just sail down the field, So it's one of the reasons why there's so much excitement with McDonald taking over, him being the DC at Baltimore. He knows how to run a defense. And let's just hope that he can somehow replicate that here in Seattle. We already got a good roster on our hands. Don't get me wrong. So I don't know if we're even going to see too many roster changes. Okay? So if we're going to keep the roster as it is, then we gotta turn these kids into really, serious, we gotta keep them hungry, we can't let them indulge with cigars, even though cigars, I mean, come on, like, if a cigar is calling your name, I get it, but it's also like, hey, man, like, we went 9-8. We went 9-8, and we barely won against the Cardinals. Like, we barely won. We had a 1-point lead on them. It's just like, man. And then also we lose to the Steelers because we couldn't tackle? I mean, come on, man. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Got some good water, man. Drink some water. It will be good for you. Oh man, I love water. I really do. I love my water. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel good about this hire. I feel like we're heading in a good direction so far. Of course, we gotta see what the guy does and how he does, and I feel like the expectations might be a bit lower this year. I think it's gonna be roughly the same as maybe 2 years ago when after the Russell Wilson trade, but maybe a bit higher given the roster that we have. So we'll just see what happens. I'm gonna be rooting for this kid. Even though this guy is 36 years old, I'm still calling him kid. Good luck to Mike McDonald, man. We certainly need it. And by the time that this comes out, I think. Well, I don't know if it'll come out after his introductory press conference that he'll have tomorrow, but it will come out the same day. I will be watching it, and it's too bad that I can't give my first impressions on this, given that I'm recording this before the press conference. And he was just hired today, right? So, but I will be watching it, and I know it'll be a good one. And we gotta. He's already said a few things. He said, according to ESPN, and ESPN is citing the Seahawks website. He said, "What an honor. We are super excited to be here. Just getting to know John Schneider and the rest of the folks, the reputation of this place. What drew us here was the people. That's why we're here, to bring a championship back to Seattle and the 12s. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to work our tails off, and it's going to be an incredible ride. We're going to be here for a long time, and we're going to win a lot of football games. My voice cracked at the end. No. He said we're going to win a lot of football games. Oh, man, I feel good about this. I feel really good about this. Man, this is great. This is great. Let's see. Mike Macdonald is the 5th Ravens defensive coordinator to become an NFL head coach. 3 of the previous 4 went on to make multiple playoff appearances. I don't know if those are talking about defensive coordinators under John Harbaugh. If that is the case, okay, they got the guys. Okay, so they got. So the only one again that worked under Harbaugh was Chuck Pagano. I think he was there in 2011, and he made the playoffs. I don't know who what team that guy coached for, but we'll just see. The other ones are Rex Ryan, Mike Nolan, and Marvin Lewis, although I think those are before John Harbaugh's time in Baltimore. Oh, man. Well, good luck. Good luck to Mike Macdonald there. In other news with around, Seattle sports, we'll cover the Kraken real quick. They lost to the Sharks. They lost to the Sharks, to the, what are they, the San Jose Sharks? Yeah, the San Jose Sharks. They lost 0-2. Just a shame. Man, what a shame. What a shame that is. They lost 0-2. What else happened? My computer is on 5%, so we gotta wrap this Seattle sitch up soon. They won against the Blue Jackets, and they lost against the St. Louis Blues. I actually listened to that St. Louis Blues game, and man, they had a good lead. It was like they had a 3-1 lead, and St. Louis just came back in the third period and just stunned Seattle. So that sucked. And I think the Seattle Kraken they're still in 5th place in the Pacific Division. They got 21 wins, 19 losses, 10 overtime losses. They got 52 points on the table there, on the league table. So they won 4 out of the last 10. So that's just, that's not good. We'll see if they can't bounce back after this, All-Star break with the NHL. Man, they gotta do this, man. We're already like halfway through the NHL season. Let's just hope that we can see them do something with the last half of the season. And I can't really see anything interesting for the Mariners. They've been making some trades, but I haven't really been on that. I think that'll about do it for the Seattle Sitch so far. So, just good luck to Mike Macdonald, and welcome to Seattle. Welcome to Washington State. We know that you'll do well. And thank you for listening to my podcast, Mike Macdonald, a.k.a. Mikey Mac. All right. So, as I shut down my computer. Oh, man. How have you been doing? Man. I've been, like I said, I've been reading a couple of books. I've been reading that Stephen King book, If It Bleeds. I'm only on the first part of it. It's really like 4 short stories all combined into like this one book. I don't think that they're related at all. They're just there. And man, it's been a page turner so far. Who knew that Stephen King, a guy who writes 6 pages a day, would be a good writer? I actually have a Stephen King book in my bedroom, where I keep all my books, but I just haven't read it. I bought and paid for it with my own money, like, I think 3 years ago, and I've read maybe the first 5 pages, and I just stopped. Because I lost interest for some reason. And it's just been sitting there in my bookshelf. It's called The Institute. That's the one that I bought. And, I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I did check out this If It Bleeds book recently. And I gotta say, I like it so far. I recommend it to anybody looking to get into horror, the horror genre, right? It's a bit of a difficult word to say. The horror genre, the horror genre, right? What else am I reading? I'm reading quite a few books. The reason why I'm reading bunch of books is it's part of a challenge that my local libraries are doing. Basically, it's like this library bingo where you get this like 5x5 grid, and each square in the grid is like a category of a certain book that you have to read in order to fill it out. Right? So I'm doing this one column where it goes reading a print book, which I already did, a horror book, a picture book, a book from a library display, and then it also happens to have like the middle box, which is to passionately recommend a book to somebody. Which I guess I'm doing that now, right? Like, wouldn't you say that I'm passionately recommending books to you, the listener to my podcast? It's been a fun little challenge, and I think it's actually really, really cool to do. I've got from now till April 1st to complete the challenge. And the challenge is to just fill any row or column in that in the library bingo card that I got. And I gotta say, so far I've had a good time with it. If you ever want to get into reading books, give yourself like 3 months to read a bunch of books and see how many bingos you can get with like filling out a bingo card, like a book bingo card. I don't know, maybe you can find one online or something. You can definitely find like a book bingo thing online. Just give yourself 3 months to like fill out a couple of the boxes there, and you'll end up reading a couple of books. Really, at least 5 books to fill out an entire row or column. And I promise it'll not only will it help you get into reading, but it'll also expose you to a variety of genres and, a bunch of, all of the experiences that books have to offer, I think it's a cool idea. And hopefully by the end of this challenge, I'll be able to read maybe, like 7 books, I think, right? And like, hopefully I'll be able to, like, fill out, I'm filling out a row right now, but hopefully I'll be able to fill out another column on the bingo thing that I got, the sheet, by the end of this challenge. So I'll be a busy reader, so far, from now till April. And yeah, that Stephen King book isn't the only thing that I'm reading right now. I'm also reading this book of poems about salmon. It's called "I Sing the Salmon Home" by Rena Priest. "I Sing the Salmon Home" by Rena Priest. Poems from Washington State. So it's just a bunch of poems about salmon and how cool salmon are. And I think it's really cool, and it really opens up your eyes, to, like, thinking about, hey, like, salmon are actually kind of a cool fish. They kind of go hard, like the salmon life cycle. Like, it kind of goes hard. It's kind of like baller. It's kind of, it's very there's so many hardships in it that just, it's really kind of bizarre that, just what these fish have to go through, and compound that with what we're already doing to the environment, not to sound, all woke or whatever, okay? And I'm not woke. I'm just saying, what we're doing to the environment with polluting the rivers and, putting up the dams that block the salmon to, on their way home. It's just, it's gotta suck being a salmon nowadays, There haven't been, I think the number of salmon runs that, that existed since, before the Industrial Revolution, it's dramatically decreased since we started, putting carbon into the air and stuff, And that's really a shame, Lewis and Clark, there's a nice little quote in the book that I read, and it was Lewis and Clark, and they wrote down in their journals when they made their expedition over here to the Pacific Northwest. They were like, man, you see the rivers, and the rivers look like, it's like when the salmon arrive, there's so many salmon in the rivers, it looks like you could just walk on the backs of salmon from one side of the river to the other one. And it's just like, man, we don't have that anymore. It sucks, Because what did the fish do? What did the fish do to deserve, to deserve pollution in their rivers? It's just not. It's not a good thing to have. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe you feel differently. Maybe you feel like commerce is the way to go. Hey, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm just saying, we gotta think about these fish, man. They do so much for us. I'm also reading I'm also reading this pamphlet called War is a Racket by General Smedley D. Butler. It's basically a book about like the military-industrial complex, which is really cool. Basically, you know, how there's been companies like munitions makers and commodity companies, you know, U.S. Steel, Anaconda, what's it called, Bethlehem Copper or something, you know, that just made a ton of money off of World War I, you know, which was just not, it's just not good considering, you know, how many people died. You know, it's just, it's been a cool experience reading that book. And it's not really a book. It's more of a pamphlet than it is a book. It's only like a couple of pages long, like maybe 20 pages long, and the font is really big, and the book itself is really small. So, you know, it's just, it's really easy to read. So yeah, and then, so that I'm reading that, and I'm also reading the last book that I'm reading is, what is it? It is The Civil War in Color. The Civil War in Color by John Gunselman. I'm not sure that's his name, but it's The Civil War in Color. That's the name of the book, and it is what it is. What, you know, what it's. That was, why am I so bad at speaking? It's exactly what it sounds like, is what I'm trying to say. It's the Civil War, and it's basically a picture book. And it's, you know, it's just a bunch of photographs taken in the Civil War. And they were, the photographs were colorized by this guy, the author of the book, you know. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. I learned that the Civil War is like the first full-scale military conflict to be photographed. It's like the first, you know, like from start to finish, right? Full-scale military conflict. Of course, there weren't many photographs of, you know, taken while there was, you know, any actual fighting going on, because back in those days, the photographs that they had, the photography cameras that they used, they couldn't document the battles as they were happening, because what would happen is a camera back in those days, it needed the subject to stay still, because, you know, if you were getting your picture taken, you couldn't move, otherwise you would appear all blurry and stuff. So you would have to stay still for a couple seconds. Obviously, if you're trying to photograph a battle, a war battle, back in those days with that kind of camera, it would just be a whole lot of blurriness, you know? And so that's why when you look at Civil War photographs, it's just a lot of dead people, a lot of people just sitting still, you know, standing still, just looking at the camera. A lot of I don't know, just things that, you know, appear very still. There's no fighting that you see there. And the ones that are really interesting are just the people that are photographed there, because it's just a bunch of Civil War soldiers that are just looking at you you know, they're just looking right at you. They're not smiling. They, they're just looking at you. And some of them just appear like they don't even want to be there. Of course, they don't want to, they look like they don't want to take the photo just as much as they don't want to be there fighting a war. They kind of look like, like you're angry, or that they're angry that you're looking at them, through a photograph. Which is it's such an uncomfortable feeling, but I find it very interesting. Do yourself a favor, just look at any Civil War photograph of soldiers just standing there looking at you, posing for the camera. You will. They're all dead, and that you feel very intimidated. It's just so funny. Some of them are just lounging there. They're just lounging. You'll get a couple photographs of soldiers just lounging on the ground, on top of grass, and they're just lounging. They've been told to just stay still there, and they're like, all right, I'm chilling, I just fought a battle, but okay, and they're just there, they're just lounging, and again they're just looking at you without even smiling, which is such a weird thing. It's so weird. So yeah, it's the Civil War in color. I Sing the Salmon Home, War is a Racket, and If It Bleeds are all the books. Those are 4 books, one of them being more of a pamphlet than a book, but 4 books all the same that I'm reading currently, and I'll be reading a lot more in the coming weeks, so I'm excited to see where that will take me. And I like reading, man. I like reading. Go listen to that, to the last episode that I recorded. Go visit your local library, is what I said time and time again, and I mean it. Go visit your local library. It's free. It should be free. If it's a public library, just go visit there. It's free. Either you are paying for it or your parents are paying for it. And if you don't have parents, then, everybody else, every working adult in this country is paying for the local library system. And so it's free, man. It is free. Unless you, of course, you damage the books that you checked out, or you lost them, they might pay you a fine. Okay? Even if they pay you a fine, you don't have to pay it. You don't have to pay it, right? Because then you just don't have to visit the library ever again. Okay? Now don't damage any books and then just never visit the library ever again. Okay? Take accountability and pay for the damn book. But also, it's like, man, it's free. Just pick up a book, and just read, Or just go to your, your school library. You can check out books at your school library. I was such an idiot back in high school and the 2 years that I did community college, because I rarely visited the library at all. Rarely. There were maybe 2 books in high school that I picked up just on my own, just, without it needing to be a thing that I needed to read for English class or something. There were maybe 2 times that I actually picked up a book at the library, one that I actually wanted to read, just out of my own curiosity, And then even those, I never finished reading. Like, I remember I started to, I once started to read, like, Ready Player One. Because, the movie was coming out at the time, so I wanted to read the movie before. Okay, that was another just dumb thing that I said. I wanted to read the movie. I wanted to read the movie. That's gonna be the name of this episode. I wanted to read the movie. I wanted to read the book before watching the movie. Oh my god. Oh man. What is wrong with me? I think I somehow I'm always like nervous when I record these. And so I don't know. I just like all of my speech capabilities just fly out the window for whatever reason. So but yeah, as I was saying, I wanted to read the book before watching the movie, Ready Player One, and I didn't even reach the end. I made it through like a good bit of it, like maybe 3/4 of the way through, and I just never finished it. It's just like, what? Like, looking back on it, it's just like, dude, just finish the book. Get off of the video games and just finish the book. And that's happened several times. Really, like 2 other times with books that I, just wanted to read on my own. And actually, now that I think about it, that Ready Player One book, I think I did have to read it for English class, but it was like one of those situations where, you could just read whatever you wanted as long as you just read a book. So it was technically homework for me. But still, I never finished reading a book all the way through, if it wasn't for a class. I do remember I had to read The Great Gatsby for English class one time, my junior year, and I liked it so much that a couple years after that, maybe a year or 2 after that, I was at a yard sale, and I saw like basically a brand new copy of The Great Gatsby, and it was very well conditioned, and I just decided to buy it because I liked it so much, and I loved reading that book. I think I read it 3 times now, and it's just such a good book. It's one of my favorite books, actually. It just reads so well, and some of the lines that he writes, that F. Scott Fitzgerald writes, are just so beautiful, And I know that sounds corny or sappy or whatever. It's the truth. There was this one line, and I can't remember it, but it was one line, I think right after Gatsby tells Nick about his time with Daisy. It goes something like it's something amongst the lines of the things that he said are something that will never be said again in that way or manner, or something like that. But of course I butchered it, but the way that F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote it, it was just like such there was a romance to his writing, and not like literally like romance, kissy kissy, I love you type of language, but it was a romantic way of writing, and it was just such a beautiful book, I think. And I've seen clips of the movie on YouTube, and I think about that movie whenever I read it. But somehow, like, from what I saw, from what I see from the clips on YouTube, it's just like it's not as good as the book, The book is just like so, it's so romantic, to me. It's just it feels like magic. It's written so magically, like. It's a good book. The Great Gatsby. Go read that one. Oh man, I love The Great Gatsby. I gotta read more of those expat books. Not just Fitzgerald, but also Hemingway and that circle, right? So yeah. Anyways. I think I've rambled on for long enough. Go visit the library once again. Thank you for listening to episode 80 of the show. I'm not sure if there's anything else I should talk about except, happy February. God. I hope it goes well for you. And I hope that your first month of 2024 went well. I think it went well for me, but of course it kind of went downhill in the last week or so. So yeah, anyways, thank you for listening. Oh, by the way, like, how come Biden does his State of the Unions in March now? Like, I was expecting the State of the Union in January this year, but apparently he just does them in March. So we're just gonna have to wait another month for that, which is, unfortunate. But anyways, thanks, Biden. You see what Biden's doing to this country? Joe Biden, moving the State of the Union. He's raising the taxes, and he's making price more gas more expensive, and he's causing inflation, even though no one man can actually do that. But he did that. I did that, right? The I did that sticker. Thank you. Thanks, Biden. Thanks, Obama. God. Anyways. Boxers or briefs. Depends. Have a good one. And that's a reference to last episode. Have a good one, everyone. And till the next one, I suggest that you take care. Alright? Have a good one.